Drake and Kendrick Lamar met back in 2011, fresh after the release of Kendrick's very first album. Drake buddied up to Kendrick because he saw that he had a lot of potential, and he invited Kendrick out to be one of his opening artists on his tour. Kendrick then had Drake on his album Good Kid, Mad City, which by the way won Album of the Year at the Grammys. But then Kendrick was featured on a song named Control, and he named off a bunch of different artists and basically said, I'm coming for ya. None of the artists' names really were too worried about it, except for our buddy Drake. Now fast forward to present day, what's the beef? J. Cole was featured on Drake's song First Person Shooter, and in it J. Cole says, love when they argue the hardest MC. Is it K. Dot, is it Aubrey, or me? Basically, he's saying that him, Drake, and Kendrick Lamar are all on the same level. Kendrick is then on Future's album, on the song Like That. In it, he says, there's no big three, it's just me. Then Drake decides to drop 2 diss tracks. The first one's called Push-Ups. And in it, he's basically just saying Kendrick is small, whatever. Then he comes out with the second diss track called Taylor's Made Freestyle. In it, he just basically calls out Kendrick for delaying his response to Drake's diss track because Taylor Swift was coming out with her album. But then 2 days ago, Kendrick finally did come out with his diss track. It is a 6-minute diss that calls out Drake for being inauthentic. In it, he comes out basically saying, don't lie about me, Drake, otherwise I'll spill the tea on you. Very curious to see if Drake's gonna come out with another response to that, but I don't know, are we team Kendrick or are we team Drake? We all know that Kendrick dropped his diss track called Euphoria. He says, Drake, I hate the way that you talk, I hate the way that you act, I hate everything about you. Just 3 days later, Kendrick drops a second diss track called 616 in LA. Kendrick has shown that he can go bad to bad with Drake. This diss track was actually produced by none other than Jack Antonoff, the producer for Taylor Swift. Kendrick and Taylor, they're buddies. Kendrick basically is just saying that Drake is a terrible person. Everyone on his team and who he thinks is in his corner is counting on his downfall. There are people that Drake is paying to get secrets on Kendrick. They are actually giving me the intel. Drake did not like that. Drake comes out with a diss track called Family Matters. He says, Kendrick, don't call me a bad dad. And in fact, you're not even the baby daddy to your own son. Oh man. He accuses Kendrick of doing some really bad things to his fiance. Those bad things are the reason why, Kendrick, you have to live in New York away from your fiance and paying women for companionship, we're gonna say. Kendrick decides to come back what might be considered one of the best diss tracks of all time, Meet the Grams. Kendrick starts off the diss by actually talking to Adonis, Drake's son. I'm so sorry you have Drake as a dad. He goes on to say that Drake actually has a second kid. Why aren't you at your daughter's 11th birthday? Instead, you're out partying in Turks and Caicos. Kendrick also says that Drake is involved with some illegal activity involving minors and that Drake's mansion is currently under investigation by the FBI. If these are both true, we're switching to Team J. Cole. We have some updates on the Kendrick and Drake rap battle. Kendrick dropped his 3rd diss track called Not Like Us. It triples down on the fact that Drake is talking to underage girls. With his iconic line, you trying to strike a chord, but it's probably A minor. He's been knowing about this for years. Drake makes the industry so much money. So Drake had to push Kendrick so far for him to finally release all of this information. People were like, okay, is Drake gonna respond? Drake in fact did respond. Drake said, all that evidence, me and my team planted it. None of it's real, because you should probably be sharp and know how to do your research better. But here's the thing, Aubrey. Was it really a plan? You were texting in BFFs with Millie Bobby Brown, talking to a 16-year-old Bella Harris? What about your obsession with Billie Eilish? Drake also says, if I was really doing inappropriate things, don't you think someone would have called me out? Well, Aubrey, I don't know if you know this, but there's this little thing called Epstein Island, and it's already been proven that you can be a huge celebrity, maybe even a president, and still do these bad things and get away with it. That's right. Aubrey, not a good look. Here's what I think, because I'm sure you're wondering. There's this thing called defamation. I have a hard time believing my boy K. Dot would ever come out and say these things if he didn't have proof. Defamation lawsuits are not something you want to be a part of. You gotta make sure that you're doing your research before you go and spread lies about people. If you're wrong, it's gonna come back to bite you. Now, Drake's made it clear that he is not gonna be responding anymore. Kendrick, are you gonna respond? Drake, this isn't looking good for you.